Martial arts. What exactly is martial arts? Martial arts refer to a diverse range of codified systems and traditions of combat practices. These arts are not merely forms of physical activity. They encompass self-defense, physical conditioning, spiritual development, discipline, and sometimes even performance. The term martial is derived from Mars, the Roman god of war, which underscores the martial arts' roots in warfare and combat. However, over the centuries, martial arts have evolved far beyond their original battlefield purposes and have grown into respected disciplines practiced by millions around the world. And let's talk about its origins and historical significance. Martial arts date back thousands of years and have developed across nearly every culture on Earth. From the battlefields of ancient China to the samurai traditions of feudal Japan, martial arts were initially created to improve combat effectiveness. Different civilizations developed their own unique styles based on their cultural values, weapons, and forms of warfare. For example, Kung Fu in China was often tied to philosophical teachings such as Taoism and Buddhism, while Karate in Japan emphasized discipline, honor, and simplicity. In many Asian cultures, martial arts were not only means of self-defense, but also a way to cultivate character and inner strength. As a result, many martial arts systems include meditation, spiritual reflection, and ethical teachings as part of their training. And here's some of the examples of core elements of martial arts. Modern martial arts generally serve five main purposes: self-defense, sport, fitness, mental discipline, and artistic expression. Self-defense. One of the primary motivations for practicing martial arts is learning how to protect oneself or others in dangerous situations. Techniques are often designed to neutralize threats with efficiency and control. Sport and competition. Many martial arts have developed competitive forms such as judo, taekwondo, boxing, or mixed martial arts. These styles test skills, strategy, and endurance in controlled environments with established rules. Physical fitness. Practicing martial arts helps develop strength, speed, flexibility, and overall health. It offers full body training that improves both the body and the mind. Mental discipline and focus. Martial arts demand a high level of concentration, patience, and self-control. Students must be disciplined and respectful towards their teachers, training partners, and opponents. These values often carry over into everyday life. Cultural and artistic expression. Martial arts also reflect the history, philosophy, and artistry of the cultures from which they originate. The forms practiced in many martial arts are choreographed patterns that convey deeper meanings, tell stories, or represent natural forces. Martial arts isn't something you just experience physically. It lives on the big screen too. It all goes way back to early 20th century China. The very first martial arts movie ever made was a silent film from 1928 called The Burning of the Red Lotus Temple. It was based on a famous Chinese novel and focused on these heroic martial artists defending their temple. The movie basically launched the whole wuxia genre, a style of storytelling about wandering warriors, honor, and almost magical martial arts abilities. These early films were inspired by Chinese opera and stage performances. They had these over-the-top dramatic fight scenes full of flips and swordplay. The fights weren't meant to be realistic. They were theatrical and symbolic, more like a dance than a real brawl. Then came the 1960s and 70s, and everything started to change. Martial arts film got grittier, faster, and more grounded. Studios in Hong Kong, especially the Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest, started pumping out action-packed movies with sharper choreography and cooler stories. This was the era when martial arts cinema really found its rhythm. And of course, we can't forget Bruce Lee, the man who changed everything. When Enter the Dragon hit the screen in 1973, it was like the world suddenly sat up and paid attention. It was the first time martial arts truly broke into Western cinema. Suddenly, martial arts weren't just an Eastern thing, they were global. People everywhere were hooked. Martial arts film exploded in popularity. They influenced Hollywood action movies, inspired generations of fighters and filmmakers, and became a huge part of pop culture. And even now, decades later, you can still feel the influence, whether it's in modern action flicks, video games, or the martial arts classes happening in neighborhoods around the world. Overall, martial arts films are a subgenre of action cinema that focus on the depiction of traditional and modern combat techniques, often featuring stylized and hand-to-hand combat, weapon-based fighting, and highly choreographed action sequence. These films center around martial disciplines such as Kung Fu, Karate, Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and many others, blending physical performance with dramatic storytelling. At their core, martial arts films are not just about violence or action. They explore themes of discipline, honor, personal growth, revenge, justice, and spiritual development. Characters in these films undergo rigorous training, face moral dilemmas, and embark on transformative journeys, both physically and emotionally. The martial arts themselves serve as a metaphors for inner strength, control, and balance. What if I told you there's a game that perfectly captures the swiftness, brutality, and grittiness of the classic kung fu films, condensed into one intense experience? A game where every move matters, and a single mistake could cost you the entire run. A game that keeps you on the edge of your seat and doesn't hold back if you let your guard down. That game is called Sifu. That doesn't just let you play through a martial arts fantasy, it immerses you in it. It's a third-person, run-based action beat-em-up that's built up on more than 150 unique handcrafted combat moves inspired by the ferocious precision of Bak Mei Kung Fu. Every attack isn't just a bottom press, it's a deliberate strike, a rhythm in motion. Combos aren't just flashy, they open up tactical opportunities, letting you trip, stun, or slam your enemies with devastating efficiency. Developed by Slowclap, a Paris-based indie studio made up of former Ubisoft developers, Sifu builds on a team's experience from their first title, Absolver, a free-flowing martial arts RPG. But while Absolver explored online play and the shared world experience, Sifu turns inward, laser-focused on a single-player journey of mastery, discipline, and brutal combat. Slowclap Combat's philosophy is clear. Combat is a dance, movement is your weapon, and make a move. That philosophy seeps into every second of gameplay. With Sifu, they wanted to channel the elegance and danger of classic kung fu films, particularly the kind where one skilled fighter takes on a room full of enemies, just like Jackie Chan in his prime. The result? A deeply visceral experience that hits hard and demands focus. To get the materials right, the team worked closely with Benjamin Colucci, a master of Bak Mei Kung Fu, who helped choreograph every moment with authenticity. And it shows. Every kick, block, and finishing blows feels grounded, not exaggerated. You can see the weight, the intent, and the tradition in every frame. It's not about looking cool, it's about respecting the art and culture behind it. One of the game's most brilliant ideas is its aging system. Each time you fall in battle, you get older. You grow wiser, stronger even, but with reduced resilience. It's a clever way of reflecting Kung Fu's core philosophy, mastery through practice, and the idea that strength isn't just physical, it's earned through time, failure, and discipline. And let me tell you, every time I land a finishing move in Sifu, it's not just satisfying, it's jaw-dropping. Whether I'm smashing someone's skulls into a wall or unleashing perfectly timed bat strike just like Negan did to Glenn in The Walking Dead, it sends a shiver down my spine. The camera shake, the cinematic angles, and the raw power behind each motion, it's like directing your own gritty martial arts film in real time. But perhaps the most important thing Sifu delivers is respect, not just for combat mechanics but for Chinese martial arts culture itself. It's a game that doesn't just borrow from Kung Fu, it honors it, making sure every frame, every movement, and every value is done with care. You might be wondering, what exactly is Bak Mei? Since I've mentioned it as the foundational martial art behind Sifu, it's only fitting to dive deeper into its origins and philosophy. Bak Mei, meaning white eyebrow. It's known as the art of lightning hands, a fierce and time-honored kung fu style with over 400 years of history. It originated during the Manchu Qing dynasty and is attributed to the Taoist monk Bak Mei, after whom the style is named. According to tradition, Bak Mei developed his martial system while living in seclusion on Emei Mountain in Sichuan province. His disciples would later carry the system to Guangdong, where it eventually split into main branches, Cheng Lai-chun's Bak Mei and Lao Xiaolong's Bak Mei. Historically, Bak Mei was practiced and refined by elite warriors tasked with protecting the emperor, making it not only a fighting art but a guardian tradition. Often referred to as lightning hands, Bak Mei Kung Fu is a fierce and explosive close combat system characterized by rapid, powerful strikes often delivered in swift succession. The styles emphasize interception, deflection, and simultaneous offense and defense, grabbing, parrying, and counter-attacking in one seamless motion. Practitioners generate power through full arm extension, hip torque, and structured postures. Bak Mei's technique set is vast and refined, including palm strikes, spear finger thrusts, tiger claw grips, forearm checks and nudges, kicks, throws, and joint locks. Every move is designed for decisive efficiency in real combat, measured, brutal, and unrelenting. Bak Mei is considered both an internal and external style. Having emerged from southern China, its core philosophy is deeply rooted in Taoism, valuing the harmony of opposites, soft and hard, fast and slow, defense and offense. Bak Mei emphasizes a synergetic use of both hands, where one deflects or opens the opponent's guard, while the other delivers rapid punishing strikes. Defense is never passive. It exists to create offensive openings. Perhaps the most iconic strike in the system is the Phoenix Eye Fist, which concentrates impact through a single knockdown knuckle, aimed directly at the opponent's vital points. It is the epitome of Pac-May's surgical precision and devastating intent. If you're curious to learn more about Pac-May or Pac-May, I've got you covered. I'll be dropping a link down below that leads to the official WS Pac-May website. It's where you can explore more about the school, its history, and the different activities they offer. Honestly, that's where I got most of my information when I started digging into the origins and unique style of Pac-May. It's a great place to start if you're just as fascinated by it as I am. Anyways, I've been yapping for so long now and I feel some of you are clicking away the video, so I'm going to keep you waiting. Let's get right into the good stuff, the gameplay and story of Sifu. It starts during a thunderstorm, where we see three people running and climbing across buildings. As the camera pans to the character we're playing, we come across a lit up building, and the game displays 8 years ago, indicating that we're in the past, witnessing a flashback from this character's life. As you approach the door, I used a heavy attack to open it, just like a SWAT team breach. One person inside is caught off guard as you burst in, ready to defend himself. The game hints for you to use parry and light attacks, deal enough damage, and you'll be able to finish him off with a finisher. Like I mentioned earlier, every move you execute is packed with flair, each finisher leaving the player in awe with its swift cinematic impact. Someone hears you scuffle with the first enemy, and as you proceed, more opponents await, dressed in traditional kung fu uniforms. These people are in the middle of training until you walk into their wugwan. They ask who you are, and you're given a set of dialogue options. Since they look ready to fight, I choose
Who wants to go first?
This is where the tutorial kicks in, teaching you the ropes as you beat them one by one. They try to stop you, but they're no match for your power. After finishing them off, you head outside, towards another building. As you vault over the gate, a man is thrown out of the doorway, and another man with his stuff is calmly seated on a table inside.
I thought you said they'd put up a fight. I'm barely breaking a sweat.
You're given another dialogue option, and you order him to sweep the place again. The man with his staff agrees. As you explore the building further, it becomes clear that this is where many people live. The Wugwan is not just about training ground, but a home. Continuing through the area, you encounter more enemies. You beat them down with the devastating blows, leaving them quite literally with brain trauma that they'll never forget. Eventually, you reach the dining area of the Wugwan and see more people in the distance. One of them recognizes you and becomes furious that you've returned. At this point, it's revealed that the character you're playing is Yang, and his presence in the Wugwan is clearly unwelcome. By now, most players likely understand what's happening. You're on a mission, either seeking revenge or taking justice into your own hands for past wrongs. After pummeling the next group, you step outside again and see a man near 3 lifeless bodies. You ask him,
Where is he?
He simply gestures with his head to indicate the direction. As you move further into the Wugwan, you find 2 of your allies struggling against an old man.
Stop.
Yang, of course.
You've gotten slow, Sifu. You know why I'm here, don't you? Just step aside.
You were a mistake. I should never have taught you. Now you know too much. By returning here tonight, you've given me a second chance. This time, I will do what I must.
It seems that we are taking our revenge on our Sifu. Yang wants whatever inside the box, and his former master is protecting it all his life. First, let's talk about Yang for a second. His former master told him that he was a mistake, that he should not have taught him or allowed him to know so much. As the master touches the wooden box, it likely hints that whatever is inside holds something powerful, and Yang wants it. Now you are fighting for it. You can see all of Yang's accomplices watching the fight. Your former master has the same abilities and movesets as you do, but his style is slower and more efficient, just enough to catch you off guard. As you deal enough damage, you're given the option to finish him off, but he counters your move and pushes you outside of the wooden. There, the second phase of the battle begins, and thanks to the rain, the whole scene becomes even more dramatic than ever. Once you break his guard, you finally defeat your master. Yang uses a one-finger punch on his former master, and and with that, Yang successfully kills him.
Show yourself.
Yang sensed our presence inside the cabinet. He probably noticed it the moment he entered the Wugwan. At this point, we can choose our character, whether it's a boy or a girl. You can switch genders in the closet room faster than the LGBT community changes their flags and identities each day.
Goodbye. Anyways, if you want to start...
For this instance, I chose the boy option. We step out of the closet and Yang takes a good look at us, as if deciding whether to spare us or not. But his mind was already made up long before he massacred everyone in the Wugwan. Yang then signals the man with the machete to kill the protagonist. With a single swing, the screen fades to black. Moments later, we see our character lying on the floor, clutching something glowing in his hands. A magical pendant. This must have been what saved his life. The protagonist checks his throat to see if there's a wound, but the pendant has already healed it.
Father.
Now we know Yang killed our father, whose body lies on the ground, defeated in the aftermath of their battle. This is one of the best intros I've ever seen in a video game. I wouldn't say it's on the level of the Doom game's opening sequence, but this intro gives the player a clear mission: defeat every boss in the game. And if you pay close attention, this intro actually shows you how to defeat each of them. For the botanist, use deflect or parry and directional throw to knock him off balance frequently. After you successfully perform these moves, the game reveals the boss' real name, Fajar. You'll also see the names of the other bosses during this intro sequence. Once you defeat Fajar, it cuts to another training scene. Now for the fighter. The game teaches you how to dodge all of his attacks, from high to low. This mechanic will be essential throughout the entire game. Once you've successfully evaded all of his attacks, the game reveals his true name, Sean. After defeating him, another training scene begins. Next, we face the artist, using palm strike to break her balance. The game reveals her name, Kuroki. Later in the game, she became my worst matchup, probably my most hated enemy. Honestly, I dislike her even more than I hate Yang. Once you defeat her, another training segment begins. The CEO is both armed and unarmed at the same time. Yeah, I know, please laugh. Since she is one-armed boss, you can use a sweep to knock her down and beat her while she helplessly tries to block your attacks. After thoroughly bullying her, the game reveals her true name, Jin Feng. Once she's down, yet another training scene follows. The protagonist composes himself as he faces the final boss, the leader, also known as Yang. Use whatever moves you've learned throughout the intro and make him pay for what he's done to our entire Wugwan and to your father. And here we can explore the entire Wugwan as much as we want. In the wardrobe, we can choose our outfit and even change our gender, something that LGBT community would love to have in their homes. Looking out the window, we can see the entire city. If you look closely, you'll spot the levels that we're going to play. On the left side or at the front of the Wugwan, we can see the portrait of the protagonist's father in the middle of the altar. Incense sticks are lit. If you head outside to the very spot where Yang killed your father, you'll see a small, lonely tree standing in the center of the Wugwan. This is where we acquire our movesets, or rather this is our skill upgrade station. The more you upgrade your skills, the larger the tree grows. Once you've upgraded and permanently unlocked all of your abilities, the tree reaches its full size, extending beyond the roof of the Wugwan itself. It kinda reminds me of a sakura tree, with all its pink leaves. It's so large, it resembles a world tree. Man, I miss Fauna. And honestly, I think I'll be having nightmares without her. If you turn around, you'll find the detective board, where all your clues and objectives are stored. Every clue you collect throughout the game's level can be viewed here at any time. For now, we only have few clues, basic information about the bosses and where to find them. To the left side of the detective board, there's a piece of paper listing the aliases of all the bosses in the game. The botanist, the fighter, the artist, the CEO, and the leader. On the table, you can pick up the photo of Fajar, the botanist, which gives you a bit of information about him. He's the first boss, the one who slit the protagonist's throat during the intro. He never leaves the warehouse, which is where he's based. He's our first target, and he lives in the squats. We can see the overview of the entire squats, dirty, abandoned, and likely home to people living in poverty. At the top left, we can spot the sanctuary, symbolizing that the path to revenge is filled with hardship and determination just to reach Yang.
They've blocked the entrance to the warehouse.
Then, we can hop over the fence where 2 men stand guard at the entrance to the squats. Since you're already trespassing and breaking the law, why not beat them up as well? As you move inside, you can choose between 2 paths, but whichever you take, you'll end up in the same place.
Junkies. I don't think they'll be a problem.
At this point, we learn that junkies live here, and they serve as basic enemies you'll face throughout the game. In the squats, they're referred to as junkies, but their actual enemy type is henchmen. These include common street thugs, club goers, and even office workers. Most of their attacks are well telegraphed and easy to parry or avoid, but don't underestimate them. If they outnumber you, they can overwhelm you quickly, making it difficult to decide which enemy to focus on. Clear out all the henchmen in the building to build up your EXP and level score. You'll need that later, and I'll talk about it in a bit. Once they're dealt with, you can proceed to the next building in 2 ways, either by jumping across or going downstairs and through a door. However, if you try going downstairs, you'll find the door is locked with a sticky note posted on it. You can view this clue later on the detective board, which hints at where to find the key. Your objective is to find the person, or in this case, the people who did it. The note features a skull drawing, so you'll need to find anything related to that symbol. That leaves only one option for now: jump across to the next building. Once you've jumped across the building, there are more enemies waiting. Imagine being them high as a kite and then seeing a man jump across a building and start bashing your head with a metal pipe. I'd be confused and knocked out in just a matter of seconds. You can look at the other junkies sleeping in their beds or on couches, and no, you can't kill them like in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where you can eliminate enemies while they sleep. If you go into the kitchen, you'll notice a mysterious powder sitting on the countertop. When you interact with it, the game identifies it as purple mist. If you head over to the board to check more information, oh, it's drugs. Honestly, I thought it was condiment or something because it was just sitting there on the counter, right next to the fridge. But no, it's drugs. As you open the door, you'll see multiple junkies in the hallway. They immediately notice you.
Check this fucking clown out. Help you with something? Yes, get out of my way.
The fight starts and the camera shifts to the side while you're fighting them. I've got to say, this is one of my favorite sections in the level. You're one man versus a whole group, and you take them down one by one. This scene is also referenced to a 22-year-old South Korean film called Oldboy. The hallway fight scene in that movie is one of the best choreographed action sequences in cinema. In the movie, everyone gangs up on the protagonist, and it does a great job showing how even your allies can become an obstacle, getting between you and the person you're trying to attack. Just like in the game, when an enemy has a weapon and swings, they can hit their own allies, while you simply dodge the attack. Many attacks are impossible to land on the enemy you're targeting if they're side by side with someone else. All they can do is try to knock you down over and over until they are run out of stamina. Also, by the end of the hallway scene in the movie, everyone is out of breath. Their attacks become slower and predictable. Even the protagonist himself is exhausted after defeating everyone in a narrow hallway, and he still manages to beat up every enemy inside the elevator. Alright, let's get back to the game. Right after you beat all the junks in the hallway, just like the protagonist did in the movie, the sequence ends with the camera focusing on their main character, surrounded by the lifeless bodies sprawled across the ground, just like in Oldboy. As you go to another building, there are more enemies for you to struggle with, while some of them are easy to deal with and can be considered as free health, since every time you defeat an enemy, your HP gets partially restored. You can also catch enemies off guard, allowing you to immediately perform a finisher. But be careful, some enemies can counter your finishers and they will instantly enter an advanced state where their attacks become stronger and match faster. You will notice when their life gauge is suddenly lit up with fire. Also, this is the perfect time to talk about the death system in the game. Every time you die, counter increases by 1 with each death. But don't worry, you can decrease it again by defeating an advanced enemy or by reaching a checkpoint in any level. You can also access your upgrade station every time you die, so make sure to fight every enemy for as much XP as possible. Spend your XP in the skill tree or while you're dead. However, beware that you can't unlock certain skills if your age is above the required age for learning them, so you need to spend your XP points carefully. Every time you get back up, you receive a small boost where enemies take a few hits without reacting, giving you a moment to regain your confidence. I noticed this every time I got revived by the pendant. The enemies are just standing there while I get some free hits on them. Well, to be fair, it's probably the first time they've seen a man get back up from a bloody conflict, fully healed and even stronger than before. So yeah, that's unfair in their position.
The warehouse. I'm getting closer.
As you enter the building, you see a mysterious figurine sitting atop of the table. Upon closer inspection, it's a dragon shrine with its head resting on a rock. This statue can also be used as an upgrade skill. Remember when I mentioned collecting level score and XP points? Well, this statue allows you to choose a skill to upgrade and can be used once per statue. For example, in the age section, you can upgrade the following. Structure Reserve increases the structure bar so you can take more hits during combat. Health gained on takedowns grants more health every time you see a finisher on an enemy. Weapon durability. Weapons can now withstand more hits as you use them on enemies. However, just like the pendant upgrades, if your max age is over the required age, you cannot unlock the skill. Next is the score section. This is essentially your defensive upgrades where you can choose between 3 options. Structure Regain. Each time you avoid an attack, your structure decreases more slowly, allowing you to tank more hits. Focus Regain. Every time you parry or avoid, your focus meter increases, letting you spam focus attacks. Parry Impact increases the amount of structure damage dealt to enemies when you parry. And remember this upgrade because it's very important. Then we have XP option. This section uses the same XP points that we use for pendant upgrade. Here's what's available. Focus Reserve adds 1/2 a focus bar. Upgrade it twice to gain 1 full additional bar for tight situations. Weapon Proficiency. My personal favorite. Most enemies carry weapons they can drop, and weapons can be found throughout every map. Using them can be a lifesaver, especially when it's bladed weapon. Rejuvenate allows you to recover 5 years lost from dying to numerous enemies. This upgrade is optional. Don't bother spending XP unless you're already old in the game. And I just noticed something interesting. XP looks like a dead face with a tongue sticking out. You spent XP points on your skills while you are dead. I don't know if it's just a coincidence that the devs put that in the pendant section or it's just an Easter egg waiting for someone to notice. But if I'm the first one to catch it, I bet there's one developer who's overjoyed that his or her Easter egg was finally recognized. As you finish upgrading at the shrine, you now climb up to the wall and see 3 enemies lurking around. You can push them off the roof if you're lucky enough to do it. Once all of that is done, you can now jump across to another building where a huge guy is sitting on a couch.
Shame I'll have to throw you back through it.
Be careful of this special attack which can deal huge damage to you, but you can avoid it by dodging. This type of enemy is called a juggernaut. Just like the name implies, they are large and very fat, overweight men. They are the slowest enemy type as befits their size. Juggernauts are difficult to knock down and won't be staggered by weak attacks. Also, they can trigger their advanced state, so be careful when fighting them. But I like to call them Discord mods. Since they are fat and slow, but the moment you break a rule in the server, they can quickly deplete your health and banish you from their server. After you beat the living hell of the Juggernaut, you can explore the area and see a lot of money lying around the ground. Probably drug money, dirty money, or even worse, blood money. As you head down below the building, you enter a room where you can overhear some people talking about the club. But we'll worry about that later. We need to defeat everyone in this room first. After you've broken every single bone in their bodies, you can now explore the area. Just like the room above, it's filled with money. You're using this place to count every single bill and distribute it to the other gang members. You come across a table where there's a pamphlet sitting on top. It's a club flyer. By inspecting it on the detective board, you find a clue that leads to Sean, one of the bosses in the game. Also in the flyer, you see the name Howie Lee. He's the one who composed soundtracks for the entire game, and thanks to him, the game has life. I used the Martial Mastery soundtrack while playing to get the other ending, which I'll talk about later in the video. As you move along and randomly enter a room, you come across 2 heavily tattooed individuals. Most of their tattoos resemble skulls. Your character noticed the skulls on their faces, but I ran in immediately and bashed them with a metal pipe to their skulls. After defeating them, you get their keys, which can be used to open the door in the first building of the level. But how do you get back to the start since you've jumped across multiple buildings to get here? Well, that's simple, my friend, and that's what we call replaying the game. You can replay this whole level again once you've defeated the boss and use the shortcut route to reach the boss faster. Instead of fighting your way through the entire level again, you can now speedrun it, but at the cost of fewer shrines appearing in your path. Once you get the key from them, there's a shrine on the table that you can use. Open the metal gates and head over to the next building.
Almost there. Need to get through that door.
But there are a lot of enemies scattered around the area, and funnily enough, stealth is not an option here. And you know what that means? Time to beat some people up. As you beat all of them and explore the area, this is where they make the purple mist, and you can see where it originated. It's from a flower called the purple flower. Yeah, I know, a classic name. As you head through the exit, you need to fight one Juggernaut and 2 more henchmen before you face Fajar, especially the Juggernaut who got one-shotted by a literally bamboo stick. The 2 henchmen can be also dealt with using just a few hits of the stick, and you're now free to face Fajar. There's a shrine nearby, so go ahead and take your time to use it. Once you're inside Fajar's domain, you can collect one more clue. It's keycard 206 and can be used in the sanctuary level. That's still miles ahead with more levels to go through, so it's better to keep it in mind for later. There's a locked door across the room and a key is needed, probably the room where Fajar used to rest. You are now ready to face Fajar and take your revenge for the moment he slit your throat in the intro. As you can see, Fajar primarily uses basic attacks, most of which can be easily parried or dodged. He often ends his combos with a back kick. It's best to dodge it, as doing so opens him up for punishment and gives you opportunity to land some free hits. However, be careful, he can execute sweep kick and jump kick by leaping off the environment. It's better to stay close to him to limit his movement options. Once you deplete his health gauge or break his structure, you can go for the finisher. However, he counters your move and immediately activates his magic, transforming the environment to his advantage. Pause. Earlier in the fight, you might have noticed Fajar using his magic to grow plants, right? You might be asking, what kind of magic is that? Well, remember in the intro where Yang opens the wooden box and something glowing is seen inside? The game doesn't explicitly show what it is, but according to the wiki, each boss in the game possesses a talisman to aid them in the battle. You don't visually see these talismans on every boss except Yang, but they are there according to the lore. Now let's talk about Fajar's talisman. It's called the Wood Talisman, and the wiki states it gives him the ability to control the growth of plants.
My name
Man,
is Sarah
Fauna
Fauna.
would love
Yo.
you. Each boss fight in the game has a second phase where they activate their talisman against the protagonist. Honestly, it feels like Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansion. That's the vibe I get from these encounters. When Fajar uses his talisman, he causes bamboo plants to grow around the area, creating a cover and transforming the battlefield. The protagonist now finds himself in the middle of the bamboo forest, needing to stay alert as Fajar can leap out from the trees to surprise you with a machete attack. Be cautious, his second phase attacks are more aggressive and frequent compared to the first. To counter his surprise attacks, look closely for rustling bushes as that's where he's going to emerge from. Dodging his ambush allows you to punish him with free hits. He also has a machete flurry move. If you don't dodge it in time, you'll be chopped to pieces. In addition, he can use a bamboo stalk to launch himself at you, catching you off guard if you're not careful. Read his moves closely and react accordingly. There are bamboo sticks scattered around the forest that can be picked up and use weapons. They're slightly effective against Fajar, especially if you unlock weapon upgrades at the shrine. With enough damage dealt, you can finally finish him off.
I have spent 8 long years preparing for this.
Right after you defeated Fajar in the squats, you are now back at the Wuguan. If you look at the time, it's currently 1906, or in simpler terms, 7:06 PM. I forgot to mention this earlier, but you are taking your revenge before lunch. Earlier, the clock showed 15:35 or 3:35 PM in the afternoon, and the candle right beside it will slowly melt overnight until you reach the sanctuary level. I think for me, it's basically saying that Yang's time is almost up. Enough about that. We're here to beat up Sean, and he's located at the club, hidden deep within the city. As you start the level, you'll notice the entrance is very attractive, almost seducing you with its lights, just like a moth drawn to a flame. Also take note of the entrance as you will see something very familiar later in the game. The club is located in an unknown part of the city, tucked away between towering buildings and residential homes. As you move forward, one of the staff members of the club will talk to you.
Forget about it. If you're not on the list, you're not getting in.
Too bad, I have over 15 million power in Rise of King. You head to the entrance where a bouncer is guarding the door, but you can easily give him a break since he's been working non-stop to protect the place. Once inside, you'll see a logo of the club lit up. Remember that logo. Just like the entrance, something about will change later. Now approach the receptionist and ask where Sean is.
Yeah? What do you want?
Sean, where can I find him?
Guys, We got a problem here.
After you beat up the receptionist and his two friends guarding the main entrance of the club, you're now clueless as to where Sean is, since well you just beat up the guy who knew. However, if you beat up the two henchmen first and ask about Sean's location, this is what happens.
Where is Sean?
He's with the fighters for the burning. Only Sean's disciples have passes to get inside.
It turns out we need a pass to get inside for the burning, but we don't need that since we've got the power. Since you now have a wooden bat that you have picked up after beating the two henchmen and the poor receptionist, there's only one thing left to do. Head straight to the main entrance as you step into the club. You'll see a lot of people enjoying the music or talking with one another. Now, see that blonde girl to your right? Break her skull first. As you've beaten up all the underage teenagers along with the manager of the dance floor, we'll come across a new enemy type called flash kicks. They are composed entirely of
Women.
They can be identified by having their hair tied on top of their head, as well as sporting a wide stance with their arms lowered. So every time you see them, don't let your guard down, just like I did in the video. As their name implies, flash kicks mainly use their legs to fight, utilizing heavy sweeping kicks in combat. The martial art style is similar to capoeira. Capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian martial art and game that includes elements of dance, acrobatics, music, and spirituality. It is known for its acrobatic and complex maneuvers, often involving hands on the ground and inverted kicks. It emphasizes flowing movements, rather than fixed stances. The ginga, a rocking step, is usually the focal point of the technique. Though often said to be a martial art disguised as a dance, capoeira served not only as a form of self-defense, but also a way to maintain spirituality and cultural identity. Right after you defeat the flash kick, you can now upgrade at the nearby shrine. But in my case, I accidentally triggered another fight that was supposed to happen later. After beating them up, you can check the door to the left, but it's locked, so you'll need an access card to reach the shortcut route in the game. For now, let's head down to the intended route of the level. We'll encounter a lot of henchmen, and you'll need to defeat them in order to reach the main event. At one point, you can look at the nearby TV where a group of men fighting, and Sean can be seen. This is probably his way of recruiting disciples. As you move up to another room and take out the remaining henchmen, you'll see two juggernauts guarding the entrance to the burning, but you can easily defeat them by destroying the wooden panel and obtaining a bamboo stick, and this becomes your pass to get inside. As you enter the room, you'll see the betting event is taking place. You can also spot two flash kicks cleaning their aisle. I don't think you can ignore them, so you need to defeat them. By doing so, you can obtain a metal bat, perhaps in my opinion, the best blunt weapon in the game. It can withstand multiple hits, and paired with the weapon durability upgrade at the shrine, the metal bat becomes a cheat code throughout the entire game. Every time you use a finisher with this weapon, it's so satisfying to watch. Every enemy you encounter drops like Glenn from the Walking Dead series every time I bash the bat onto their heads. After you finish off all the enemies in the area, the background suddenly turns red and the path is presented for us to follow. I didn't manage to record the background transition in the area, but you can see Sean standing for a single frame before the path is revealed. Or maybe I'm hallucinating. I don't know. After following the path, we encounter another enemy type in the game, Disciples. They are martial artists trained by Sean and are among the most dangerous enemy types you'll face. Due to their powerful varied attacks, they can be easily identified by their unique stance, having open hands in an orthodox position. They can also enter an advanced state if they counter your stance, so it's best not to try finishing them off too early. Instead, beat them entirely. If you have a death counter, you'll definitely want to defeat their advanced state to reduce it. Sean's disciples primarily use the martial arts styles called Bachikwan and Bigwakwan. Bachikwan is a traditional Chinese martial arts known for its explosive power, short-range strikes, and emphasis on elbow and shoulder strikes. It focuses on fast, powerful movements meant to break through an opponent's defense quickly and is often used in close-quarter combat. Bajikwan is also famous for its use in military and bodyguard training due to its direct, no-nonsense fighting style. Bigwakwan, on the other hand, is known for its powerful whipping strikes and its emphasis on explosive arm movements. It focuses on open hand techniques, wide swings, and smooth flowing motions to generate force, often combined with strong stances and body rotation. Bigwakwan is commonly paired with Bajikwan, as the two styles complement each other. Bigwa brings the speed and flexibility, while Baji delivers the power and structure. Right after you defeat the first disciple you encounter in this level, you can obtain the pass for the burning, which can now be used to unlock the shortcut and enter the 3 trials. Once you've entered the room, you can see multiple enemies training at their own pace. Go to the left and you'll find a shrine for you to use, along with the metal pipe. Once you're done with your upgrades, you can talk to the guy near to the door standing right next to it.
The trials. What are they?
Agility, dexterity, endurance.
You can beat them up for free level points and XP, or you may also leave them alone and head to the trials, but I beat them up for free points. As you enter a dark room, you can see Sean leaving, and you try to catch up to him. However, one of his disciples stops you in your path, and all of the doors automatically open by themselves. Inside the rooms are full of enemies. This is the first trial, Agility. This will test how good you are dodging and parrying enemy attacks. Once you've defeated all of the enemies in the area, the disciple will say something to you.
The winner becomes a king, and the loser a thief.
This battle isn't over yet.
You're a fast learner.
You can beat the disciple fairly easily, especially if you're using a weapon. After you defeat the disciple, you can now continue and face another trial. You enter a room filled with flickering lights, leading you to another path. Once you turn to your right, you can see Sean waiting for you to open the door. But as you get closer, you are transported to a different area and face the second trial, Dexterity. This trial will test you how well you manage quick, skilled attacks from stronger enemies. And you can use the staff to deal damage there. I just used the stick and a bit of luck to defeat this enemy. Now you can continue onwards to the final trial, where the whole area is burning. You can find text on the wall scattered throughout this route. Once you turn right again, you'll find a very familiar sign at the end of the hallway. Yep, that's the sign from the beginning, and once you go inside, you'll see the club sign is now gone and replaced by burning wood. Even the reception area is one-to-one replica of the club earlier, but this time there are locked fire chests inside the reception area, and you'll need a key to open it. Once you enter another room, you'll see someone throw a body outside. There are two disciples guarding the area. This area looks similar to the dance floor from earlier. My theory is that the club is an old wigwam that mysteriously burned down and was converted into a club for ordinary people. But deep inside, it became a new wigwam for Sean's disciple to learn new skills. I died early when fighting the two disciples since my health was very low, and a single punch could knock me down. But fight these two disciples and you'll be able to enter the last trial. Right beside you is a shrine, so you better choose and upgrade your skill you want to use. Speaking of skills, there are two that I love in the most in this game: Charge Back Fist and Chasing Strikes. This combo can deal heavy damage and land free hits for 3 consecutive strikes with no punishment whatsoever. That's why I usually choose these skills every time I start a new save in this game, because it's so scummy to spam this combo and get away with it. I know many Sifu veterans will probably criticize me over my combo choice, but hey, a free hit is a free hit. It is so fun to spam this skill whenever I get the chance. Once you finish upgrading the shrine, you may now proceed to enter the final trial.
Sifu, my arms are yours.
Leave. I recognize that uniform. It represents a school for the weak and feeble.
Turns out the final trial is Sean himself, and it's called Endurance. This will test your patience and your skill, specifically how long you can last without reaching age 75 in this level. Based on what I've heard, most players quit during this boss battle since they don't know how to beat Sean. And yes, I almost one of those players, but a few simple guides on YouTube which offer tons of tutorials on how to beat this boss were astounding. The tactic for this boss fight is to dodge all of his staff attack. Whenever he stops, you can punish him with light and heavy attacks. Do not parry all of his attacks or your structure will increase significantly and you will lose the fight immediately. Just dodge his attacks, and once he's open, there are plenty of stuff in the corners of the area that can help you defeat Sean in his first phase. Since I play this game a lot, my combo managed to chunk out a huge portion of his health by spamming Charge Back Fist and Chasing Strikes. You can use the combo 3 times before he starts to block it. Also, spam focus attacks, especially the strong sweep, so he loses his balance, giving you a chance to land more free hits. Sean primarily used Magic Wand in this fight as well. He shoves away his elbow in an acute bend, and his elbow strikes and posture are a specifically prominent part of Magic Wand. Just repeat this process until you reach the second phase of the fight.
You're almost as good as Yang. I thought he was unchallenged at that old bastard's school. Who are you?
A ghost from the past. Here to put an end to this sideshow.
You picked the wrong person to haunt.
Sean uses his fire talisman to change the battlefield to his advantage. Now, his damage output is twice as high compared to the first phase, as his staff is now ignited in fire. Additionally, he can perform heavy sweeps to knock your character off balance, creating openings for heavy damage. This is why you need to be attentive to every single attack he performs. One mistake can lead to devastating punishment. You can still punish him just like in the first phase, wait until he finishes his attack, and then spam heavy attacks to knock him off balance. Spam focus attacks as well whenever you get a chance. My combo can be also used effectively in his second phase, as shown in the video. Repeat this strategy multiple times. As long as you don't let your guard down, the fight becomes manageable. Once you've dealt enough damage, you can now finish Sean. Now it's currently nighttime, and you head inside Wugwan. The skill tree is getting bigger and bigger. You go inside and see a bright building in the distance. That building is actually the next level, where you fight the next boss, the artist, and she's waiting for you inside. And the time is currently 21:44 or 9:44 PM, which is exactly the time I go to bed and cry myself to sleep, thinking about how miserable my life is. Well, that's enough trauma dumping to 10 viewers who will watch this video essay. It's time to go to museum, beat up Kuroki, and take a look at the displays in the museum while we're at it. Wait a minute, this ain't the museum section of Sifu. This is Jufate Raiden's Pixel Museum game! We are in the wrong museum. We are in Mushroom Girl's museum full of great pixel arts of Japan history, and she single-handedly filled my YouTube shorts with her remix talking about mushrooms! No! Alright, this is a great game filled with puzzles and history. I rate it 8.5 out of 10. Not enough Raiden on my monitor. Right after our little detour with another museum owned by a Japanese woman, we are now in the correct museum, which is also owned by another Japanese woman. I know, shocker. Once you've entered the museum, you are greeted by the two henchmen at the entrance. It seems that everyone knows you're a dangerous person. Beat up these two henchmen and grab the metal bat from one of the bodies. Did you know that the art gallery Kuroki manages is just a front for her organized crime? The wiki didn't specify much, but we know that the art gallery is just a facade. You can see a whole map of the entire section of the museum, where there are 4 levels you need to clear before you can fight Kuroki, unless you have an elevator key which lets you reach her immediately. You head to the first room and see the different displays made by Kuroki. Furthermore, there are enemies waiting for you in the different areas of the room. In my first playthrough, I didn't know enemies were waiting to ambush me and beat me with a bat, but after multiple playthroughs, I know where enemies spawn now, and I still managed to get caught off guard by their attacks. Beat these 2 enemies and head further in. There will be more enemies for you to beat up. Just like I said, everyone knows you are inside of the museum, and they're locked inside with you. The museum level is very straightforward. Go through all these rooms, beat multiple enemies, fight a shrine, level up. Alongside that, you can look at different pieces of art in the rooms. For example, the kunai circling around the ceiling, dropping ink, I think. On the floor, there are too many enemies in the area, and you can actually throw enemies or stumble yourself, and they'll get hit, leaving them open for attacks. The kunai will go different directions, creating another set of drawings on the floor. Sometimes it draws symmetrical circles or just different patterns as the ink drops. Anyway, you can find another enemy on the other side of the floor, but the door is locked and you need the key for it. But once you found the key, you can access different floors without going through a lot of enemy sections in the level. Also, you can beat up the disciple who is looking at the weird mask. You can interact with it and instantly unlock the skill Callbot, which increases your multiplier by 1. It is actually helpful for your level score. You can spend it at the shrines. Once you've successfully given all the enemies permanent brain damage, you can now head to another room where you'll encounter a new enemy type called Bodyguard.
Stop this meaningless crusade here. Kuroki has long since abandoned this life of violence and bloodshed. Turn around and leave now.
This type of enemy is just like juggernauts, but they are huge and jacked. man. They're easily identified by their huge frames, and they have the same damage output as juggernauts. They can grapple you much faster and deal more damage when they do. Having a weapon can make this encounter 50 times easier. But if the enemy managed to disarm you, then all you have to do is watch out for their heavy attacks and counter with focus attacks. For me, my combo can easily disrupt him, make it easier to follow up with more attacks, making the bodyguard much more bearable to fight. Right after the fight, you can now obtain the museum keycard, which you can use to open doors leading to the stairs and skip some of the floors in this level. You are now at the 4th floor and can stumble across Kuroki's living quarters, which is locked. Sadly, you can't find the key for this door right now, but I will tell you later where to find it after we finish the whole story of the game. So let's leave it be and head towards to the last floor of the level. By matching the vibrating crystals correctly to form and shape Kuroki's head, I gotta say, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in this game. It resonates really well with the museum theme. The game magically teleports you to another room raining inside, and there are enemies coming out of the darkness. While you're fighting, Kuroki speaks about how standing in the rain will cleanse us physically and spiritually. But you can do this in the bathroom while the shower head is pouring water on you. You can actually visualize yourself as Batman looking down at the city in the rain. Or you can be Spider-Man crying at the tub while water pours down on him. Yeah, that's basically the vibe I'm getting whenever I hear Kuroki talking about standing in the rain. Beat up most of the henchmen coming off the shadows, and eventually a juggernaut and 2 flash kicks will appear after you've beaten a certain number of enemies. Be careful as you fight the flash kicks. The juggernaut might grapple you while you're distracted. Same with the juggernaut. Their flash kicks might sweep your legs, leaving you open for heavy attacks. Also, you can stab one of the flash kicks to lessen your worries in this fight if you manage to save a weapon up to this point. Once you've defeated these 3 enemies, a door will open and you can finally leave this area. Once you get inside of the room, you can see 2 flash kicks standing there in the middle like the twins in The Shining, or the Twin Towers. Continue moving forward and you can grab a small katana or wakizashi. This weapon will be your partner for a long time, as long as you don't drop it or use it to stab an enemy. This segment is just like the movie Oldboy again, but it's much brighter area and more difficult enemies will spawn instead of henchmen, just like in the squats level. Also, you can see on the art or displays that Kuroki made hinting at what's about to happen in the boss fight. Fight off these enemies until you reach another bodyguard enemy type who is waiting for you at the end of the corridor. And while you're fighting the bodyguard, you can hear Kuroki again, talking about consciousness and comparing it to an iceberg. Well, to be honest, the lines will go over our heads while we're fighting. Right after you beat the bodyguard, another room will open and it will lead you to another gallery of the museum where you can only see silhouette of your body. And it kinda reminds me of a scene in Blade Runner 2049 where Officer K, literally me, is walking in an orange colored place and we can only see his silhouette as he goes further and further into the city. This section completely gave me chills, as if I were in a horror game. It's just like Silent Hill, but if James knew Kung Fu. Also, there are statues everywhere resembling humans, and you can actually stumble across an enemy standing still, which can catch you off guard while you're running around. But since I know where the enemy is, I just put her to sleep using my fist. Right after that, you can go to another room where there are statues fighting, seemingly resembling a fight between 2 women, one holding a sword and the other holding a kunai, and every time you go near, they get torn immediately as the fight between the 2 women reaches its conclusion. Also, take note of that later. By the way, since it's connected to the locked door we saw earlier before we went into the shadowy place. You keep going straight and there are more statues littered around the area, and be careful as there are enemies hiding and staying still. This has become their advantage in surprising you with cheap damage to your health, so be careful as you run through the hallway. They are easy to kill and you can gain your health back every time you knock them down, and as you finish beating them down, you can see at the end of the hallway there's a statue holding a staff. You can simply knock the statue down and grab it to use it as a weapon, and as you go down there are conveniently huge rooms hinting that there's going to be a huge fight. And now, there are 2 advanced flash kicks that you need to defeat, but using a staff makes it manageable to fight them. They are fast and they can tag team you whenever you lose your focus on the battle. I suggest that you save up your focus attacks just for this level, since fighting them at the same time will literally give you headaches. As you defeat them one by one, you can now advance to the boss fight where Kuroki is waiting for you patiently. You are now in a snowy area and you can see a shrine on the left side of the ravine. Once you finish all of your upgrades, you can now face Kuroki.
I do not want to fight you. That feeling of vengeance. It will not cease here. I speak from experience. Now leave. Or be forced to.
This is the second hardest boss battle in terms of the first phase. She can literally tear you to shreds if you don't know her attack patterns. And that is why we have a weapon for extra damage. And whenever she ends her attack, we can sprint and deal her significant damage. Or if you have an extra focus attack, use it for free hits and combos and combo it up with your weapon for more damage. Be careful as you parry her attacks. It can damage your weapon and it will be less reliable once it's destroyed. But on the good side, you can gather a lot of points for your focus attack. When your weapon is destroyed, it's better to keep your distance from her, since the weapon she's using is called Sansetsukan. The blades extended from both ends. She swings these blades in the wide arcs in front of her using low and high attacks, which makes her difficult to approach without a weapon. And whenever she falls back to make a room, she literally attacks and she jumps back. And so in that way, you can't rush her as she falls back. Patience is your weapon now. Wait for the right time to strike. She will say something if you resurrect right in front of her.
Interesting. Have you defeated death itself?
Well, at this point, you need to parry or hit her with palm strike, but she is nimble and won't give you an opening. And remember earlier I said I hate her more than I hate Yang? Well, it's because of this first phase, where you can't land a hit on her, and she is the second boss I doubt the most. And right after you manage to break her structure, you can now trigger her second phase. We are now fighting her second phase, probably the easiest phase out of all boss levels in this game. We all know the first phase should be easy, right? But not in this boss fight. The first level is much harder than the second phase. You can literally spam dodge and she will rush you, and once she's done with her attacks, you can hit her multiple times before she moves away. Right after the start of the second phase, you can hear Kuroki speaking in third-person perspective, hinting that she has another persona in her mind. As you can see, she is using a water talisman in her second phase and creating an illusion of endless ocean waves in her arena. I don't know what kind of power she gets, we only get to see her change the arena. But don't worry, I'll explain later why she has second persona in her second phase. For now, let's analyze this boss fight. In her second phase, Kuroki's fighting style changes drastically. She now wields a kunai and prefers to charge the player directly with various attacks and kicks. She can throw kunais at you, and if the player has the skill weapon catch, can easily throw it back at her, dealing significant damage in the process. She can charge up her dash move, where she moves across the arena instantly to attack the player. She will give you a visual cue when she charges. Her body emits a shiny blink, and you can dodge or parry it. It's up to you, but you literally can't miss that attack. And if you time it right, you can punish her for rushing at you. She can also combine this move with a kunai throw or fake out dash to throw off the player. You can also knock her balance off. Once you've dealt enough damage or parried her attack, she will be vulnerable for a few seconds, leaving her body open. And you know what that means. My combo can chunk out a huge portion of her health by just doing this scummy combo. Just like in Sean's boss fight, you can do 3 combos of chasing strikes with no punishment whatsoever, and use focus attacks for more damage. There you go, the cheesiest combo known to Sifu. And you're welcome. Dodge her attacks, wait for the opportunity to strike, and the fight will be easy. Once you've dealt huge damage to her, you can now kill Kuroki. We can now see the protagonist sipping his tea in the dining area of the Wugon before he heads out to the next level of the game. The tree is getting bigger and bigger now, with more branches and a sturdier body. As we go to the detective board, we can now see Kuroki's clue section, and there's a red X on the flyer, representing that she is now eliminated and no longer a threat to us. The next level is called the Tower. It's in the deep part of the city where all the towering buildings reside, and among them is the tallest building, where Jin Feng, aka the CEO, resides waiting for you to enter her domain. The time is currently 2:16 AM, and I can't wait to finish finish this game before lunch. At the start of the level, we are looking down at a cliff, and it's seemingly... No, wait a minute, where's the camera going? We've been looking at the ceiling this whole time! We are now at the tower. As we head to the reception, one of the staff greets us and tells us that Jinfeng is waiting for us. An elevator opened just for us, and there's one man insiding as well. You can fight them if you want to gain more level score and experience for the shrine. It's up to you how you approach the scene. As you go up and step up the elevator, you are greeted by Jinfeng and her bodyguards, asking you to come closer.
Look at your face. Not even a scar. Your family is certainly full of mysteries. I'm certain Yang would be thrilled to see you again. Unfortunately, I don't think you'll have that opportunity.
As she disappears, you look behind and see two henchmen and a bodyguard type enemy running towards your location. There's a small henchman wielding a small katana. Beat him first so you can have a weapon to deal with the bodyguard. Once you're done greeting them in a British manner, you need to find a way out and locate Jinfeng somewhere in the tower.
Everyone into position. Shut down all entrances and exits.
The enemies know that you are trapped in the building, and the whole tower is a maze. Enemies are scattered all over the level. Feels like some of them are just average employees who got caught up in the protagonist's revenge spree, and I can't help but laugh whenever I stab or knock them down. They're already suffering from the stress of office work, and here we are sending them to heaven. Unless, of course, they're like the adult children in big companies such as Microsoft, people who do 3 hours of actual work, goof around in the office for the rest of the day, and still earn 100 grand per year, in which case they deserve to be knocked down. And to further solidify my statement, there are juggernauts here at this level, and I bet they don't even work. They're getting paid to eat. Like, what the hell is this? Leave some food for the others, man. After eliminating most of the enemies, or should I say office workers, you can finally leave via the elevator. But the buttons don't work, so we just open the doors with our hands. We then descend, traversing via stationary elevators, and move on to the next floor of the level. We're in a surveillance room. On the left side of the screen, we can see the faces of the previous bosses, Sean, Fajar, and Kuroki, all labeled deceased. The last one, Yang, hasn't been labeled yet. In the middle of the screen, there are pins scattered all around the world, which I think represent the branches of the tower. Since we're in China, there are a lot of towers in the nation. On the right side of the screen, we can see enemy types that are crossed out, probably the staff members we eliminated earlier. And the shockwave interrupts the whole floor, and Jinfeng immediately shows up in the screen. She sees us and displays the 4 levels we've been through: the squats, the club, the museum, and the tower. She has been watching our every move, every fight with the enemies, and every boss battle, taking notes on everything we do. All I can say is, in every hotel room, there's a Jinfeng chair right next to the bed. Enemies then start rushing to our location, and you need to be careful since they have weapons that they can deal heavy damage. They can also enter their advanced state if you manage to finish them off quickly. You can grab small katanas on the ground to make the fight more manageable. Also, a fun fact, I don't know how I managed to do this, but you can get an invisible weapon that won't break unless you stab an enemy or open an elevator that's programmed to be closed. Somehow, only in this part of the game, you can exploit a bug that lets you wield an invisible weapon. I'm sure you can do this too by accident. Just have a weapon in your hand, find the same weapon on the floor, make sure the weapon isn't invisible in the screen, and when the indicator shows up, pick it up and enjoy your totally bugged invisible weapon. I don't know how it works, but hey, as long as you defeat enemies, I'm taking it. It's not a mod or anything, but every time I play the tower and reach this section, there's always an invisible weapon to exploit against enemies. Once you've got your invisible weapon, head to the next room where 2 henchmen, 1 disciple, and 1 bodyguard are waiting for you. Defeat them and you'll find another clue next to the TV for the detective board. It's a brochure talking about the sanctuary, where Jinfeng's company financed the entire facility. With the partnership of Jinfeng and Yang, the sanctuary managed to heal most people with severe illnesses and even treatable conditions with astonishing results. Does Yang have the cure for cancer? It seems Yang has turned over a new leaf ever since he killed the protagonist's father and is now doing God's work in the sanctuary. As you move along the section, you can see a shrine for you to use. Once you've bought your skills, there's an elevator that you can open again. When you run and jump to the top of the elevators, enemies will spot you on top of it. The elevator door right in front of you opens and a juggernaut jumps, and we die. The Juggernaut jumps and we fight to the death as the elevator is going down. Beat him up and 2 more enemies will show up as the elevator falls down to the ground. Once we've beaten them up, we can see the elevator is rapidly going down and it magically teleports us to the underground section of the level where we can see a huge cliff. Jumping down, well, I'll explain later. It's called the Rift and Jinfeng is waiting for you at the very bottom. Also, you can jump down to the small cliffs to make your journey short. Aha! That's where you were wrong, Chuckle Nuts! If you jump down, you will die and lose a year of your life. And you will get an achievement for that as well. It will make your journey easier, yes, but at the cost of a single year in your pendant. So going for a cheap shortcut in this section will make you pay the price. I recommend that you go through all the sections where enemies are waiting for you in every corner. Also, the shockwave can change the location of the enemies and spawn more enemies when you're fighting them, making it more challenging and infuriating at the same time. As you go further underground, we can see a room filled with books and there's a flash cake waiting for you. If you remember, Jinfeng has 2 bodyguards right by her side in the beginning of the level. Also, this is where Yang and others planned their attack on the Kung Fu schools and killed the 4 masters. They were called the Guardians. 5 Kung Fu schools and talismans for each boss in the game? It seems they planned this thoroughly.
The Guardians. This made-up order who kept for themselves what belonged to the people. The truth always finds its way, and so does justice.
Okay, mate. Right after you kill the flash kick effortlessly and buy more skills in the skill tree. Right after that, you can continue and follow the path finding Jinfeng and there are more enemies for you to fight in the next room. After that fight, follow the path again and we can see another battle guard of Jinfeng waiting for you to arrive and she is wielding a staff. You can stab her again for an easy kill but I didn't manage to do that in this recording so I had to fight with her with the little health that I had. Right after you defeat her, you can now obtain the elevator keycard and you can use this in the elevator in the first part of the level. Instead of going to the open elevator, use this card and go to the right side elevator and this will lead you immediately to the underground section of the level. After that, grab the machete lying on the floor. This machete will help you defeat Jinfeng. But first, you need to go deeper underground and find a safe spot to fall down so you don't lose a year of your life. Also, there are henchman type enemies that are easy to kill and I defeat them for higher level scores and XP. Since at the end of the road there's another shrine that you can use. Right after you use the shrine, you can jump down safely.
For whom does the bell toll? You want revenge, and to restore that which once was. But that suffering, it was for something. Yours, mine, even Yang's. We did something for the people. We shared. You want to erase it all? The bell tolls for you. The Guardian's legacy. Now, accept your sentence.
Here we are in the 4th boss battle in the game, and we are fighting an unarmed and armed boss fight. Be careful as Jinfeng attacks pattern is easy to read, but her damage and range are high. They can catch you off guard if you don't time your dodge perfectly. Her attacks consist of 2 high attacks and a low sweep, and if you're near her, she will spam rotating her weapon, dealing high damage if you don't get out of her range fast enough. That is why we have a machete. Start spamming the focus attack for her structure to break easily, then repeat the process of evading her attacks until you trigger her second phase.
You must yield.
In the second phase, Jinfeng uses the metal talisman, and the power of this talisman is to create powerful earth-shaking shockwaves. She doesn't use it to fight us directly, but instead to spawn more enemies earlier before we fight her. What a classic way to use her powers efficiently. As you can see, her second phase is pretty much the same, the only difference is that we are falling to the ground and her damage is now doubled. I also noticed that she is in old age now, and her damage is the highest among all of the bosses. I think it's because the talisman shares one similarity with our pendant. The older we get, the stronger stronger we become. Every time I parry or land a hit on her, my structure is on the verge of breaking. That is why I keep my distance every time she attacks and only rush in whenever she exhausts her attacks. However, whenever I rush in, she can swing away, and sometimes if I'm not careful, she can grab me and unleash a devastating attack that leaves me open for more heavy attacks. That is why reading her slow attack patterns can be a very good technique for fighting her. Spamming focus attacks are also great whenever she is in range of your attack, as it can easily build up her structure so she can be defeated. Repeat this move over and over again and she can be finally defeated. As the scene starts, we can see the protagonist in his bedroom, probably contemplating how he will face Yang, as he is the last one left and probably the hardest fight that will happen later on. But first, we go to our detective board, where we see that Jingfeng's face is now crossed out on the flyer and is no longer a threat to us. We have successfully defeated the 4 bosses in the whole game, and there's only one left, and it is Yang. If you go outside of the Wugan, you can see the whole city enveloped by fog. In the distance, at the top of the hill, you can see the sanctuary still lit up with lights, while the whole city is still either asleep or just waking up and getting ready for the day. I sense calmness every time I look at this part of the game. I always go to this spot and think about the journey of the protagonist. How much pain and how many deaths we endured just to make it to the last level of the game. How many retries and resets on every level just to make your age as young as possible for this final stage. And now, our revenge is within our grasp. One more boss fight and we can finally avenge our father and other disciples of our Wuguan. Well, how bad could this last level be? Nah, I think it's gonna be fine. Before we can start the mission, it's currently 5:36 AM and our candle right beside it is now extinguished, having melted down completely. Well, there's no backing down now. We are here to finish what we started. Now, the leader is the last one left on our list and we're heading to the sanctuary. We are now at the sanctuary, which sits at the top of the hill, towering over the entire city. Somehow, we are magically teleported to the entrance of the sanctuary. Well, I guess we just walk up to the stairs and hike the mountain along the way. But we're not here for the sightseeing, we're here on revenge business. We approach the person guarding the door and he assumes a fighting stance as he introduces us to the place. Looks like they are ready for the protagonist and will do anything to stop me from reaching Yang. As we head inside, the receptionist greets us and we ask her where Yang is.
Where's Yang?
He's in his office, meditating. It's the highest building. Just keep going up.
As we move further, we can see the text on the wall describing the sanctuary services for the people who come here. I bet they have great food in their restaurant, so let's go eat there for the meantime.
I'm afraid the restaurant's closed.
Oh, well, let's just beat him up. Where's the dessert? After successfully beating them up, we can now use the shrine to buy some skills. Since this level is hard, and I'm not kidding you, there are a lot of heavy enemy types waiting for you, and it's going to be a nightmare. Also, don't forget to find a machete in the kitchen, which is located on the left side of the inner kitchen area. After that, you can move on to the other section of the level. You can go through the inner garden door, since this is the shortcut route for when you replay the game. So we go to the right side through the guest house. Oh yeah, remember the keycard that we got in the squats level? Well, you need to find the room 206 and that's the room of Fajar. Maybe we can find some more clues for the detective board. Also, there are 3 enemies in the guest house and thankfully we have a machete to make fighting them easier. If we go to the second floor, left side of the guest house, we can see the room 206 and upon entering the room, we can collect the flowers key, the key for the locked door before the encounter with Fajar in the squats, and a medical report about Fajar showing that Yang has been keeping an eye on Fajar's mental and physical health over the years. Once you collect these 2 clues, we can bust out of the window and interrupt the meditation that is happening in the courtyard. A bodyguard type enemy will rush in, but I still have the machete and I greet her in the most British way possible, a machete to the gut. Also, you can one-shot the civilians and gain free health as you knock them down. Yeah, we are killing everyone here and leaving no witnesses. As we go to the herbal clinic, there are 2 flash kicks when you open the left side door, and I'd recommend defeating all of the enemies since we can gather more experience for the skill tree. There's a shrine on the right side after you open the door. There are 2 more bodyguard type enemies that you should be wary of. Beat them and head towards the inner garden where you can get the aromatic garden key. Right after you defeat them, there are more enemies waiting for you. It seems Yang is throwing everything at you, but he's just delaying the inevitable as the protagonist deals with his army outside his office. After beating all of the enemies ranging from a juggernaut, 2 disciples, 1 flash kick, and a bodyguard, you are greeted by an advanced disciple wielding a staff, which you can use after defeating him. After that, you can obtain the keycard which allows you to go directly to Yang's office. As you move into Yang's office, we can see blank spots or canvases on the walls. They are probably supposed to show something, but we searched through every level and found no hidden arts or collectibles that we can obtain. Trust me, I will explain later why all of these blank canvases are empty. But first, let us experience the first ending that the first time players will get when playing this game. Also, there's one last shrine for you to use, hinting that this will be a boss fight. So, if I were you guys, I'd choose Parry Impact, and trust me, this will make sense later. But first, let me show you our first boss battle with Yang.
Time has passed since the days I trained you. We were family. At least, that's what I believed. But then, during my darkest days, your father revealed his true self. He never cared about us. He cast me out. He abandoned us. Tell me, what would you do to save the people you love from the inevitable? Wouldn't you cross every line? Break every rule? Wouldn't you challenge death itself? You want revenge, little brother? Show me.
Oh boy, this fight is one of the best and one of the hardest fights you will ever experience in this game. He's an unstoppable force with rapid attacks and seemingly unending offense. He is just like us, a perfect copy of the protagonist, and he's using every good combo against us while dealing a lot of damage, and by a lot, I mean a lot. He's literally a force to be reckoned with. Additionally, he is only enemy in the entire game that is completely immune to focus attacks. So yeah, good luck beating him on your first try. You can dodge all you want and rush in whenever he's open, but oh boy, that's where you trigger his trap card. He will literally dodge your attacks, punish your moves, and counter your strikes in a professional way. Even if you manage to knock him down for a second, you can't grab him. He will break free and hit you without mercy. So, doing my combo is out of the question. On top of that, his attacks are so powerful that your structure bar will fill up quickly due to his combos. And if you attack him, his structure won't even reach halfway before instantly recovering, even if you land multiple hits. So yeah, fighting him will test both your defensive and offensive capabilities that you've learned in this game. And if you die, Yang will mock you right after you resurrect. So you're taking both physical and emotional damage as well. And I will say this, in my first time playing this game and reaching this level, it was pain in the ass. Not only do you get mocked by Yang, but you also have to learn his attack patterns. Eventually, after numerous deaths and resurrections, you manage to reach the second phase and the magic of the pendant slowly fades. So how does Yang's second phase work? He becomes even more dangerous as he gains glowing attacks and a new attack pattern. There are slower attacks, but you'll need to dodge certain attacks in order to punish him and break his structure. Oh, well, that's kinda expected since this is our first time fighting Yang. Well, how do you fight Yang exactly? You're in luck because I'm here to show you. Before we dive into the fight, I forgot to tell you the lore surrounding Yang. But instead, I got caught up in my emotions and suddenly told you my first-hand experience in this boss fight. As you can see in the cutscene, Yang killed a bird and magically resurrected it right in front of the protagonist. He founded the Sanctuary, a spiritual retreat and healing center that specializes in treating those who are terminally ill. Yang uses the Earth Talisman, which has the ability to heal, even being able to bring back the dead. Well, at least to an extent, the protagonist's pendant and Yang's talisman have similarities, but the way they use them is totally different. The protagonist's pendant is used for revenge quest. Whenever he dies, he is resurrected in perfect condition and revived on the spot. As for Yang's talisman, he uses it to heal others and possibly bring back the dead. However, the detective board only states that the sanctuary can heal those with severe illnesses and conditions that cannot be treated by modern medical techniques. I'd like to say more about the lore, but we need to tackle the boss fight first before we delve into the hidden lores of the whole game through the detective board. In order to defeat Yang, you must have patience in this fight. Blindly rushing in will cost you more years on your pendant. The easiest way to counter him is to parry every attack he unleashes. Parrying will make his structure increase and will stop his combos, especially his raining strikes attack. If the last strike is parried, it will leave him vulnerable for a free punishment. Charge back fist and crooked foot are very viable skills for the first phase, because charge back fist can interrupt a large number of his attacks, while crooked foot is a strong punishment for attacks that leave him open for only a short time. Skills such as raining strikes, spin hook, and chasing strikes are strong punishments against him. However, do not use chasing trip kick as it's not very effective. He can block it even when punished. Continue exploiting these tactics and eventually his structure will break, allowing us to trigger his second phase.
In the end, you're still that same child I knew. Helpless. Like the night I killed your father. You're here, in front of me, only because of this pendant. But what if I take it from you? Will you fear death once again?
You sound like a frightened one to me.
In the second phase, just like I said earlier, he became more dangerous and the background changes back to the time where Yang and Sifu fought for the talisman. We are back from where our revenge quest against Yang started. In this fight, you need to be wary of the charges that he will make. For example, he will dash towards you with a 3-hit attack. There's a startup animation where he arranges his arms, giving you enough time to react. It is a heavy attack, so don't parry it. The best option you have is to dodge it, but make sure you have to time it well, or Yang will punch you and knock you back in the process. If you're feeling brave enough, you can use fully charged back fist to interrupt his attack. Yang will also perform an attack sequence very similar to the player's spin hook kick. Be careful, he will not always follow through with the final spin hook kick, and sometimes do a sweep instead. Both attacks are dangerous if you try to parry them, so pay attention to his animation so you can dodge accordingly. Yang has a moveset very similar to the player. He can use charge back fist. You can see him charging his arm, very identical to the player. When he is charging, do not engage him. If you decide to attack, he will hit you with the back fist and deal massive damage. Just simply wait for him to stop charging. Also, fun fact, your back fist is much stronger than his. You can literally stand right in front of him, charge your back fist, and counter him when he tries to stop you. Although I can't do it in the game, maybe you can do it in your playthrough. Just make sure to watch his moves and animations to know exactly when to strike. Be careful of his charges and heavy attacks, and the fight will be manageable. Once you have broken or depleted his health, you can finish him off and get your revenge for your father.
You were supposed to guard the talisman, not steal it.
It's the only way to save them, Sifu.
You failed to honor your oath. You are unworthy. Now leave. He who has Gong Fu and Wu De makes the other know he can break him. His hands go out like lightning, and the other doesn't want to fight anymore.
Well, if you're asking what just happened, you just got the bad ending of the game. Just like in typical Asian families, you get scolded badly even though you finally exacted your revenge on Yang. Your father told you that you failed to honor your oath and deemed unworthy. To what exactly? Since you've killed every boss in the game, the protagonist failed to adhere to the principles of Wuda. By committing murder, the talisman has judged you to be spiritually impure. As you can see in the cutscene, there's an empty talisman hinting that you need to find something to make it complete. But how will you do that? It means the pendant has given you another chance to make things right and change the way you exact your revenge by simply sparing the bosses. How do you even spare the bosses when there's no option to do it in the first place? Well, there's actually not so hidden mechanic in the game that lets you spare the bosses by simply exhausting the first round of their structure and then letting them regain it back the second time. You can guarantee a spare option of the boss as long as you don't deplete their health while you beat them. This is especially important if you're playing in the easiest difficulty. Also, fun fact, the easiest difficulty is still hard for most players, but it gives you a longer health bar compared to the medium and hard difficulties. So I replayed the whole game again in the easiest difficulty and unlock all of the skills in the skill tree. I know, playing it in the easiest difficulty makes me a little bit, but hey, I just wanted to end my suffering and finish this game and wrap up this video essay. We still have a lot more to tackle in this game, and god, this video is getting way too long. Also, since you finished the whole game, you can now use the shortcuts to easily traverse the entire level without fighting too many enemies. Navigating the shortcuts is easy, but there's one downside. You'll miss out on shrine upgrades. There will be fewer shrines and therefore fewer upgrades to acquire since there are fewer enemies. In a single level, there are normally 3 shrines you can use, but in shortcuts, only 1 or 2 will appear. Missing these shrines can have a huge impact on your gameplay. However, if you unlock every single skill in the skill tree, then using shortcuts is highly recommended. If you already know the layout of the entire map and still wanted to defeat some enemies to take advantage of the shrines, you can plan your route accordingly. This way, you can fight enemies, farm experience or level scores, and then skip the remaining areas to head straight to the next shrine. By doing this, you get all of the rewards from the shrines while skipping the harder enemies. With that said, let's move on to the bosses and how to deal with them. In the Squat's boss fight, just beat him up and use more focus attacks as much as possible, keeping him at your range so that Fajar won't be able to use his sweep and heavy attacks. In his second phase, quickly find a bamboo stick, and whenever he hides in the trees to surprise attack you, just run or dodge his attack, then freely hit him with the weapon. Parrying his light attacks can increase his structure and stun him for a few seconds, giving you a window to hit him freely. Just be careful, your weapon can chunk out a huge part of his health bar. Repeat the combo. Break his first structure, increase it again with the weapon, and after breaking it the second time, you can now spare him. In the club boss fight, you need to have a weapon before entering the arena. If you don't have one, grab one from the side of the arena and start beating up Sean with it. His attacks are easy to read, and having a weapon is a great way to quickly finish his first phase. Once in his second phase, you must not dodge his attacks. Parry everything except for his sweep and heavy attacks. If your structure is about to break, just dodge and replenish it back to 0. As long as you have the right shrine upgrade, dodging becomes a lifesaver. Repeat this technique and you can now spare him. I don't know what to say about the museum boss fight. Kuroki is still as annoying on every difficulty she's in. Her first phase is a pain to deal with. Even if you have a weapon, you'll need to wait patiently as she twirls in the snow with her weapon. In the second phase, you need to be careful as well. She's very squishy and easy to beat if you dodge most of her attacks. Just parry her light attacks and you still have a weapon in hand. Keep using it until it breaks. Once you have successfully bullied her in her own domain expansion, you can now spare her. In the tower boss fight, as long as you have a weapon to use and know when to dodge her attacks, her first phase won't be a problem. Take your time, wait for the perfect opportunity to strike and use focus attacks to keep her in one place. Once the second phase begins, her attacks remain mostly the same. If you rush her early, she will spam her weapon and twirl it right in front of you, which can be dodged easily and effortlessly. If you still have a weapon in hand, use it to increase her structure. Do this numerous times and you can now spare her. And lastly, we are at the sanctuary. Remember what I said about the blank canvases? After we spare the bosses, all of the canvases will magically appear and will be specifically set in their levels. For example, Fajar's level is more set in a grassy and herb-focused environment. Sean's canvas is more fiery and resembles power. Kuroki's canvas is more calming to look at. And there's also a mini waterfall right beside it. Lastly, Jin Feng's canvas is the shiniest, with jewels and rocks displayed on the right side. This is what will happen if you spare all of the bosses in the game, hinting that we are on the right path to get the good ending. And there's only one boss that remains, possibly the only obstacle in your goal. In this battle, we need to equip a weapon and use it to our advantage. Parrying his attacks is seemingly the easiest and possibly the cheesiest thing to do in this first phase. Using a staff as a weapon can quickly increase its structure. If his structure is on the verge of breaking, just take a break on the side or casually dodge his attack to replenish it back to its normal state. Do this numerous times and we are now in the dreaded second phase, where your heart is about to explode from the adrenaline rush this boss fight is giving you. Just like I said earlier, Yang has new moves and we need to be ready when he uses these movesets. Only strike when we manage to catch him off guard and punish him as he rushes into our range. Also be careful of the sweeps, as this is his favorite move to spam. If you dodge this, we can strike him and get free hits to his structure. If you manage to stun him, you can grab him and do a lot of combos. Be precise when you manage to stun him, as this will be a huge factor in this phase. Other than that, after a few combos later, we can now spare him.
Please, stay with me.
Sifu's lineage ends here, with your death.
And this part of the game is probably the best of all. You don't have a health bar anymore, neither does Yang. Both of you will fight to the end. And this is the part where Yang loves to grapple the protagonist and rearrange his position. He can also stun you for a few seconds and use this to his advantage to get more hits in. And you see the structure bar at the top? Well, that's your mission, to break his structure to trigger the good ending. Based on what you see from Yang, he will not give up easily, and you, on the other hand, are struggling to land the perfect combo on him. As you parry, dodge, and trade some damage with him, we can now finish what Yang started 8 years ago and give peace to your father's legacy.
This is Wuda.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
We woke up in a cave in a different place. As we go further along the road, calming music will start and we will see different scenery, far from what we usually see in the game. We are in the mountainous region, and as we continue forward, a beautiful view unfolds, one that still gives me chills whenever I see it. The calming sights of the mountains can definitely cure my depression. I don't know what would happen to me if I saw this place in real life. I'd probably pass out right there on the spot. As we go up further, a cutscene will trigger and you can see a literal dragon soaring in the sky. After everything you've been through in the game, I think this is the best reward for completing it, without killing any of the bosses. Well, except for the goons that we took out along the way. But wait, we are not done yet, folks. We still have 2 more topics to discuss, and this will revolve around the detective board and the hidden lore of the game. So let's get right into it, shall we? Here in the detective board, we gather most of the clues that we've collected throughout the whole game. I even watch YouTube tutorials to find all of them or locate the ones I missed in each level. These walkthrough channels are so underrated, man. Whenever we need to look for something, they are already there to guide us. Just like Red Skull in Infinity War. Except, you know, they actually get the treasure too. Enough about that, we're here to discuss the hidden lore or plot lines that were tucked away in the environment. Starting with Fajar in the squats level, back in the sanctuary level, we can go to his room and obtain his medical report. From this, we learn that Yang has been taking care of Fajar over the years. As stated in the report, beside it, there's a flower key that can be used to open the locked private room in the squats. Inside the room, on a table, there's a long red envelope called a hongbao, which reveals that Fajar's medical exam results are good, but his treatment is vital. He needs to continue it, and Yang is the one looking after him. The illness itself isn't specified in the report, so Fajar's exact conditions remain unknown. What we do know is that Fajar is suffering from some form of illness, and thankfully, Yang's healing abilities seem to be working wonders on him. This makes sparing Fajar much more sensible than killing him while he's still recovering. As you probably know by now, in the club, you'll discover the Sean's venue attracts a surprising number of combatants. The area is full of fighters of all types, all feverishly eager to attempt the burning. In the final stretch before facing Sean, you'll find messages scrawled across the walls describing the twisted ideals he follows. Sean is obsessed with the pursuit of strength, indoctrinating his followers into following the same path. In the detective board, we can see the translations of these walls' messages, which read, "Nature will eliminate those who do not look out for themselves. To face death with equanimity, furious fire burn." These texts are easy to overlook but add important context to both the character and the level itself, shining a light in the Sean's manipulative ways. We all know that the museum is by far the most visually striking level in terms of the environment, fighting your way through exhibits while taking in the stunning aesthetic present throughout the area. But for me, the one-side scrolling portion of the level definitely stands out the most. When you first enter the section where the camera angle changes, you're greeted with an art exhibit depicting the level's final boss. The caption of the artwork is dedicated to the concept of loss, featuring an excerpt describing the challenges of coping with grief and anguish. As you progress further in the museum, other exhibits are showcased, expanding on emotions such as pain, anger, and rage. The imagery of the area also shifts, including the depiction of Kuroki herself. The captions present are vague, but they hint at the horrid acts that must have warped Kuroki's life and transformed her into the person she is today. And remember the locked door at the top of the museum? To unlock it, you need to go back to the club, go through the shortcut door, head upstairs, and enter the room where enemies are waiting. Defeat them and then talk to Tech Guy. You'll have the choice to beat him up or spare him. You must first interact with Jin Feng's personal computer at the start of the tower level. Once you have done that, return to the Tech Guy and ask him to help you hack Jin Feng's computer. He will give you a flash drive that can bypass her security. Go back to the computer, interact with it again, and a hidden wall will automatically open. Inside, you'll find a safe containing a key. Take that key back to the museum to open the locked door. Inside Kuroki's private room, you'll find numerous paintings scattered throughout, but one painting stands out from the rest. Kuroki killing her twin sister. Right beside it is a family photo you can collect. This explains why there are sections of the level featuring statues in combat, depicting Kuroki and her twin sister fighting. The depiction of Kuroki's family photo alludes to something terrible having happened to her twin sibling, which contextualizes Kuroki's obsession with the concept of loss. It may also explain why the use of third-person narration in Kuroki's second phase implies that you're somehow fighting her long-lost sister. The game never directly explains why the twins fought, so if you know what happened, let me know in the comments. Also, in Jin Feng's safe, there's a parchment called the Guardian's Vows. These Guardians are a group of individuals that includes the protagonist's father, Jin Feng herself, and the father of Sean, the leader of the club. According to the text, these individuals took a vow to protect the talismans, which are described as powerful and malevolent traps that were created to corrupt and must never be used. Later on, just before facing the boss of the game's final level, the Sanctuary, you'll encounter another similar parchment. This more recent text details the role of alchemists, a group with opposing views to the Guardians. They have vowed the talismans are gifts created to serve and are too powerful to be left unused. These two hints provide context for not only the game's main conflict but also the abilities of the enemies you've faced. This story of Yang is not told through the main narrative of the game, but is revealed only through the clues and environmental storytelling in the Sanctuary level. On the detective board, we can see the first clue about Yang, a photo of him alongside other disciples and our father. We know that our father trained Yang to be the next Sifu, but Yang disappeared with his wife and daughter when the protagonist was still a child. We don't know much about Yang's wife and daughter, but we do know they died from an illness. Yang did everything he could to help them get better, even pleading with Sifu to use talisman to save his family from dying, but Sifu refused, as using the talisman was prohibited since he was one of the Guardians. Blinded by hatred, Yang formed a group and infiltrated Kung Fu schools and stole the talismans, including from Sifu's school. This is why he built the Sanctuary, to help others in need, so that no one would ever have to experience the tragedy that happened to his wife and daughter. As seen in the clue section of detective board, there are numerous hints about Yang's deceased wife and daughter. For example, at the beginning of the third phase of Yang's boss fight, we can now see tombstones near a tree, representing his wife and daughter, with a flower placed above the graves. We can also see Sifu's coat, which I initially misunderstood as a clue for obtaining the good ending of the game. In truth, it was meant for Yang, as he had not yet achieved Wuda in his life. We achieved Wuda, but in the process we died while reaching enlightenment. In the post-credit scene, however, we see that the protagonist survived and is now current Sifu of the Wuguan. The pendant first coin lost its power and likely aged 10 years immediately after we achieved Wuda, and since we spared every boss, except for the henchman, Yang gave us the pendant so that we could live a new life. Well, I can't believe you watched the whole video, holy crap. If you managed to watch it all in one sitting, I must thank you for your patience in watching me yap about the game I almost rage quit. I got this game for free back in January 1st, 2025 in Epic Games, and it's probably the best game I've ever played in terms of fighting / beat 'em up games, and probably my longest video so far in this channel. Also, it's not a totally deep dive video essay of the game. It's just a player experience and a surface to mid-section level iceberg story that players encountered while playing the game. So if you like the whole video, why not share it with others and spread my channel so that my YouTube algorithm may notice me in the depths of the YouTube shadow realm. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. Also, I have more videos that I want to share, but I need more time to work it all out. Oh yeah, by the way, If you like my edits or my editing style, consider hiring me as your video editor. Whether it's for gaming or video essay style content like this, I'm open and waiting for someone to hire me. I just need some extra cash since life is hard right now. Use this channel as my resume. You can email me through the address provided in my YouTube channel. So yeah, see you all later.